So I have got to review my no, sorry, I haven't got to review. I've decided to extend my context page research, or not research, it's just context page stuff. And there's a little bit of research in there to give better understanding, better context. But waffling. I discussed it in my last or in my first evaluation. So I guess yeah, still my last evaluation, but I decided that it would be best for me if I extended a little bit, and I even thought of some extra things I'm gonna discuss. But this is just going over, or this is just the extension to the context page. So I didn't discuss instinctive to active brain function enough last time. So I just want to kind of go over how this process works. Um, so I find a mistake in my gameplay through a VOD. Um, Now I go into a game and work on the mistake over and over, trying not to do it again. So about 2+ hours. This is the active brain function part. Actively thinking about how I can improve and what I'm doing wrong and why it's going wrong. And a conditioning behavior, a conditioning experience can alter instinctive behavior. That's the quote. It's the best quote. It completely describes everything that's got to happen. Um, I'm conditioning myself. I am working on it over and over and over and over and over to the point where every single time I see a Ramatra as Reinhardt, I know I wait out Nemesis. Nemesis, as soon as it's gone, I then start looking at how do I then path into the backline. Where is my engage attempt? What exactly can I do to engage to make this fight winnable and to go get my own value now that there is an opportunity presenting itself? Once I feel satisfied, I have corrected the error and turned it from an active brain function decision to the instinctive brain function. I move on to the next. I shouldn't even have to think about the correction to the previous mistake, as it should be instinct. I hear an example of this is before I learnt about it, my Diva gameplay, when a fire pops barrage, I might have just hid away from it. After I learnt how to counter a fire barrage, my immediate Diva instincts would be turn round, boosters into her face, M2, and hold the fence matrix over her, and eat it. And through constantly working on that, and every time I see a Pharah and I think she might have barrage, that's the first thing that I'm thinking. Now it's instinctive. I recognize their Pharah. I say, well, they've got a pharmacy, so they're probably going to build this ultimate in one fight at max two. And then that is when I then make the decision, okay, well, if they're going to have barrage, I'm going to watch where this fire goes, and when she starts dropping down low enough to the point where a barrage seems viable for her, I'm going to turn round as fast as I can, I'm going to shift into her face, and I'm going to M2. And if she doesn't pop barrage, I'll micro missiles her in the face too. It is now an instinct for me to just recognize Pharah, Diva, defense matrix, shift, micro missiles, and flying into her face and becoming very oppressive. It's the same as every time I see a Pharah. It's instinct for me now to just move on to point, or move into cover, or move into a position where it's hard for her to get a sightline on me. We repeat this process until rank 1. So this is also a bit of a breakdown of how exactly the project is going to work. Obviously, this is the foundation on which I'm building this entire project. But yeah, that is essentially instinctive to active brain function. It's a simple thing um, in theory, but then when you put it into practice, 2+ hours of gameplay just to work on one mistake. Well, you know, obviously in 2 hours of playing, there's not guaranteed that I'm only going to play one hero as well, though. So it could take upwards of 2 hours, but 2+ hours is what I kind of find is where if I play for 2 hours and I do really work on those things, then I should be able to just train the mistake out in those 2 hours. And I mean, if I can do that and I'm playing about 2 hours a day every day, then that would technically mean that I am going to end up reaching a point where in 2 weeks I've worked out 14 mistakes, which should pretty much put me in which should up my gameplay. And small mistakes are what really change things when you start getting to the point that I'm at. I've been told that all I need to learn right now, or the biggest thing I need to learn, is how matchups interact with each other and how to play specific maps. I need specified map knowledge, and I need specified matchup knowledge. So these are things. This is a very time-consuming period where I'm legitimately going through maps and just trying to figure out how they work. It's very brain heavy as well. It's a lot of thought heavy stuff. Target audience. Overwatch has a PAGI rating of 12, meaning my target audience is people aged 12 plus. Additionally, my project is very serious and full on esports, meaning my target audience will also be people who are more mature or who are interested in pro esports level, meaning my audience is likely more serious and mature, so most probably 16 plus. I'd say people aged 12 to 16 probably aren't as bothered in the whys and hows of improving in a game. They might be interested in the idea, but they won't be necessarily interested in the extents into which I'm going to be taking this, physically training, watching after my mental and physical health, strict amounts of playing a day or a week, scrimming. I would say it's a mature audience, so 16 plus would be my target audience. Overwatch is also free to play, meaning the audience is opened up massively with an easier way to access the game. So, because it's free to play, obviously my target audience isn't limited to those who are willing to spend £50 on a game. It is now everybody who has, or anybody who wants to play Overwatch, basically. Although technically PEGI rating would dictate 12 plus. There are obviously people under the age of 12 who probably end up playing the game, which says to me that my target audience could be literally anybody in the world. Although again, 16 plus, so anybody in the world 16 plus, essentially. Justification for Overwatch. I didn't discuss player base or pro scene in terms of popularity. So players in Overwatch 2, 1.6 million active every day, and in 30 days, 25 million. And I put in brackets crazy bonkers numbers because those are some extremely high numbers. In comparison, Rainbow Six Siege has around 130,000 players a day, around 1/10 of what Overwatch has. And in the last 30 days, Valorant has had 20 million players. Overwatch is the biggest it has ever been. Overwatch, since transitioning to free to play, has meant that there is a lot more people, there's a lot more traffic in the game, a lot more people are playing, because if you don't have to spend £60 on a game, even if there are in-game purchases, it makes so much sense to just go in and play, because there's no punishment for it, there's no drawback to it. It means that the active player base has increased because there can just be casual free-to-play players who are just going to go on and just play the game because they enjoy the gameplay and they won't worry about having to buy skins, which has definitely increased these numbers. These are obviously estimates. Companies don't have to put out how much they play. I believe all of these stats come from activeplayers.io. So rough estimates. I can't say for sure if these are correct, but Overwatch is in its biggest state ever since Overwatch 2 released. As in, they were getting Lego sponsorship deals on less players than what they have now, which means that the game is only going to grow and grow. And yeah, it is just it's becoming increasingly obvious that Overwatch is a big franchise and should be respected as one. Owl is doing extremely well recently. Since the drop of Overwatch 2, its popularity has increased, making it a viable option for future career work. The playoffs game from last year, the playoffs games from last year had upwards of 200k views, with the grand finals having 500k views. And actually, if I just pull this up on YouTube real quick, because there was Overwatch League. That is loud. Do we go to live? This is the new stuff. Um, the Pro-Am streams aren't as popular, obviously. You know, they're not. It's not the real start of the season, but I mean, still, we're looking at nearly 200,000 views on each of these. Yeah, upwards of 160 on each of the streams. The first day had 342,000. And um, if we go to grand finals there, um, 2.5 million views. 2.5, yeah, 2.5. So that's that right there. It's wrong. Um, that was the individual games that only had 200,000. Each of these playoff stays, the full streams are looking at 1 million over every single time. And again, the grand finals had 2.5 million views, um, which is crazy levels of numbers. Compared to Rainbow Six Siege having 1.3 million, although the Rainbow stat is from a group stage stream. However, Rainbow streamed on Twitch, making it impossible to access old VOD stats. Additionally, Rainbow's stream is almost 3 times as long as Owl's, which would also have an effect on viewers as many more people are likely to tune in over the course of the stream if it's longer. So actually I can just go pull this up and just show this off. Rainbow Six, and then we go to here. This was from 2 months ago. It was a 13-hour, almost 14-hour stream. It had 1.3 million views, which is close to what Overwatch League had. And I mean, I get that this is also grand finals, which means that it's going to get the most viewership of any game or any stream in the season. But it was an almost 14-hour stream compared to a 6-hour stream, so it wasn't 3 times. But for how much longer it was and how many other teams, the fans of each team are also going to tune in to go watch that. So on these days, if you've got Hangzhou, you know, you have every Hangzhou fan, every Dallas fan, every Florida fan, every Seoul fan, every Shock fan, every Houston fan, every London fan, and every Glads fan tuning in to watch this day of Overwatch at some point because they want to see how their team performs, which makes a lot of sense. The grand finals has got everybody watching. Everybody wants to know how the grand finals turn out. But in a group stage day where there's 13 hours, there's going to be fans for many, many, many teams tuning in, which will also lead to that. And I'm guessing that was day one back, which usually means that there's a lot of people watching because everybody wants to watch day one to see how things are looking. I would still argue that Overwatch is an extremely viable career option, and Overwatch League is only getting bigger, and hopefully Blizzard will begin to recognize how much profit and just how big Overwatch League can be and how much potential is there. The final thing is I didn't go over the ranked system enough. I already went over how the system works with Bronze 5 being the lowest, and then Bronze 1 would be the highest in Bronze, and then it goes Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, Diamond, Masters, Grandmaster, Top 500. What I didn't explain is Top 500 is a rank within GM1. So if you are Grandmaster 1, then it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in Top 500, but if you continue to perform above average in GM1 and you keep on winning your games, well, it's not even stats really don't even matter once you get to that point. If you are winning a lot of your games in GM1, then that pushes you into the top 500. So top 500 is a rank that exists within GM1. You can't be top 500 and not GM1. Well, you can early season, but once you get past the first, I think it's 3 weeks, after the first 20 to 30 days, if you aren't GM1, then you can't be top 500 anymore. At least not on PC. On console, it's a little bit different because there's a smaller player base. but that is how that works. You get a rank replacement after 5 wins or 15 losses, meaning every 5 wins my rank will be edited either up or down based on mostly stats, meaning it's possible to go negative as long as stats are above average or on par and remain the same rank or even climb. So this is a bit anecdotal, but I've known somebody who actually went negative. I think they went like 5 wins, 8 losses, or 5 wins and 7 losses, and actually climbed up 3 divisions. And that's because in all of their games they were very much overperforming by quite a margin, that the game could recognize the fact that yes, this person might not be getting all the wins, but you know, the game will also, I don't know how clever this system is, but I'm assuming it also takes into account, well, if somebody's playing DPS and they're getting 15,000 damage in 10 minutes, they're dying twice every 10 minutes and they're getting like 40 elims, but then the 2 supports are each getting in that same game got like 12 deaths in 10 minutes and barely did any healing. I feel that the game might take that into account too. But those are the that is just a guess from me. I'm not exactly sure on that, and Blizzard haven't given full context to everything. They haven't necessarily said that they take into account, when the game is trying to work out your replacement, whether or not team stats are taken into account too, but it is a fairly sophisticated system, which does mean that even though you lose, you don't necessarily lose out on a rank up if maybe you deserve it. It's unlikely that you'd go negative and still deserve the rank up, but maybe given this bit of information. So rank decay is when at the start of a new season, everyone's rank decreases depending on how active they've been leading up to the new season. So um, if I have been, if I hit Diamond 2 and then didn't play for the final week of the season, and then I get replaced because you start with a rank at the start of the new season, then what could potentially happen is I could get moved down to Diamond 5 because they might say, well, you haven't played for the last week. You haven't played for a full week, which means that you're probably going to be a little bit rusty. Your mechanics are going to be dropped, your game sense might be a little bit lower if you've moved on to go play another game, or you haven't been even thought about the game in those 2 weeks. Then it's very, very possible that the game moves you down. Considering how much I play, I don't think I will receive any rank decay, and there's actually been discussions that potentially the rank decay system will be completely eliminated going into the new season, so it might not even exist. Um, but it is just important to mention that that is how rank decay works, and if it is still a thing, then that could also drop my rank, but obviously I will just climb back up. But yeah, that is the context page extension.